the record button. Well, hello there. All right. Let's load this thing then. Hi there. It's Netflix here. It's Mr. Netflix to you. I just wanted to take an opportunity to inform you of all the new shows we have coming at you this month. Sadly, I can't. See, we've gotten so good at canceling shows after only a single season, we've realized a better way. Cancel them before they even start. That's why I'm here to tell you that we've canceled no less than 27 shows you didn't even know you wanted, and saved you the trouble of bothering to watch them, only to never get another season off that season 1 cliffhanger we dangled out in front of yous. But don't worry, we'll be raising the prices again soon to accommodate all of the shows we've canceled before we ever even greenlit them. We hope you enjoyed this because I just got a pink slip and I've been canceled too.
This is Crashed While Loading, the fusion of entertainment and information.
Hello there.
Weekly updates and opinions on video games,
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
movies,
I'm about to do to you what Limp Bizkit did to music in the late 90s.
TV shows,
This is the way.
This is the way.
and so much more.
JJ, what do you want to do tonight?
Off. We need to go on a quick adventure.
Well, hello there. Welcome to Crash While Loading's 36th episode. And I'm your host, Ashton Phoenix. Appreciate you tuning in. Remember, if you're watching on the podcast, you're probably listening to it, because watching on a podcast would be damn near impossible given I only upload the audio. But if you wanted to watch it as the podcast was recording, see what I did there? You could go to twitch.tv/crashwhile-loading or Google it, or not Google it, search it on YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel and all the video from here goes to there. Why can I do that? Because I'm not an affiliate or a partner, and I can stream to 2 places at once because I'm just that tiny. I mean in terms of listeners and viewers, not in any personal aspect or size-wise. I'm very secure in my manliness hood there. So, yeah. Anyway, got a good show for you. Hopefully. It is, of course, the first of the month, or the first episode of the month, which means I will be doing the time capsule of what games came out in the month of June this, not year, but throughout time. Make sure it's going to make you feel old, especially if you know anything. And hello there, Jazz in the chat. It's good to have you here. We also finished up Mass Effect 1. We watched Raya and the Last Dragon on Disney Plus because I no longer had to spend $30, and the monthly subscription fee was exactly the right amount to spend for that if I'm not watching it in a movie theater. Also, at the very end of the show, I forgot to do it when I did my Resident Evil 8 review kind of thing last week. But I have some Resident Evil 9 predictions, and they will be spoilery, but I'm going to do those at the end of the show, so they're less spoilery. And for some reason, it is crazy hot in here all of a sudden. I don't know if that's just because I'm talking very suddenly, or, I mean, the fan's on and the air conditioner's on, but it's also 80 degrees out today, and I forget that this room gets hot when I close the double doors so that sound doesn't leak in. Even though the house is empty, they're going to be home partway through the show, in which case, hell breaks loose. So, I don't know. Now it's warm. I'm warm. I'm assuming, of course, it is my time I'm not getting any younger. It's probably, and I'm not a scientist. I don't know why I added the plural to that, but I did. So
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
But I'm pretty sure I hit menopause now. Yeah, I'm fairly positive. Again, not a scientist, but I'm pretty sure I am. It's not postmenopausal because I don't know. Is there a postmenopausal? There's pre because you haven't done it yet. Then there's the act of, and then there's the post of, which is of course something you have to use heavy equipment for to dig that post and put all your menopause in it, and it grows during the Christmas season into a giant, beautiful menopause tree. That's just how these things work. This is science. You don't have to question me. This is science. What? Hey, what's with the dumb ad? I assume that the asterisks are Canadian for cursing. Pierre energy drink. I have absolutely no. Oh, was there an ad before my show? Don't worry, Ericus. I don't get a penny of that. It has nothing to do with anything I've done. I have noticed that, and on Twitch, Ericus in the chat was apparently he must have got an ad for Perrier energy drink. I assume it's that Perrier. I'm not. Fortunately, I'm not French or French Canadian, so I don't read French Canadian. But yeah, I've clicked on several streams like of people I want to do it, and they always put this dumbass 15, 30-second ad before it gets to the fucking stream. And I assume that's just Twitch getting money because if that just happened on my stream, I don't see any of that. I don't get paid for any of this. I'm not high enough to get ad revenue. So, well, that's just fucking stupid. Nobody they click off the show before it even starts. I say that because that's what I do. It's annoying. I don't want to watch anything that badly. But I'm glad you guys are better people than I am, and I appreciate Jazz and Ericus for waiting through the 15 to 30 seconds of some dumbass Derriere energy drink. I'm going to make fun of it now because I didn't say that that's cool, and I yes, I'm using their platform, but there's nothing in my contract that says I can't say Derriere water energy drink is the garbage of energy drinks ever made. And honestly, it probably tastes like the Derriere energy. Yeah. So take that, Twitch and stupid Derriere energy drinks. You guys suck. All right, well, I've burned about 10 minutes of the show already, so let's go ahead and get into it. So yeah, anyway, Chris and I watched Raya the Last Dragon. It was a Disney movie. It was involved a girl named Raya and her friend, the Last Dragon. I'm pretty sure that was the majority of the story. No, I'm kidding. It was on Disney Plus for the $30 friggin' thing. And, yeah, we did. You got, Ericus, you got me to lose track. All you have to do is, blink at me twice, and I'm off track. Doesn't take much. But yeah, Raya the Last Dragon, I'm willing to spend $30 to see a movie in the movie theater. And I got a great TV, and it's HD and 4K and surround sound, and it looks great. But $30 to watch it in my own living room, that's pushing it. $20 on some of the Amazon ones to watch the pre-released ones, that was pushing it for me. $30, especially for something I already pay a monthly subscription to. Nah. Yeah, I just waited the 3 months until it came out this last Friday, and then we watched it, and it was good. I mean, it was, the animation was fantastic. The voice acting was pretty good. The modern stuff in, the fantasy setting, I'm a dragon nerd, or I'm a bit of a dragon nerd kind of a thing, was, I mean, it was a little jarring, given that everything was such a fantasy kind of setting. It seemed, more Chinese, Chinese fantasy oriented, because it was the dragons were the skinny ones that are long, like Shenron from Dragon Ball Z. But yeah, I mean, it was a good story. I'm not going to get into spoilers or anything. Not that you could really spoiler many Disney movies. By the way, surprise, she doesn't have all of her parents. Yeah, one of them's dead before the movie starts. I'm not spoiling anything on there. It's how you know it's a Disney movie, which got me to thinking about how many actual Disney characters have both their parents. Mulan, her dad was alive, and her mom. Aurora, Sleeping Beauty. Her parents were alive, but they were kind of dumbasses and a little bit of a dick. So, there's Tangled. Her parents were both alive. And then you've got most of the others, in which case they're either shot in the head by a hunter, killed by a herd of buffalo. At least one of them are, or drowned at sea. In the and then they let it go in the way of Frozen. It's a weird Disney loves orphans, not giving to them, but employing them in sweatshops overseas with tiny little hands to make all the Mickey Mouse ears. They do love those orphans. They're fantastic. It's why they dedicate all their stories to them. Can you tell I'm in a bit of a mood today? I don't know why. There's no reason. It's been a fantastic day. I got my little grandson with me. He didn't sleep for shit last night, now that I think about it, and cried anytime we didn't have a hand touching him somewhere. He would dead ass wake up out of sleep until one of us, Sib, because she was closer, cuddled up to him again. So probably sleep deprivation is what I'm gonna blame it on. I'm not actually cranky, I'm just surly. You ever just wake up surly? Like, you're not in a bad mood, but you're surly. Yeah. Jazz, I know you know what I'm talking about. You've been there. It was very cute. It had a lot of funny moments. No, surly is not just a bad mood. It's a bad mood elevated. Yes. Don't question me on this, Jazz. I'm a scientist. I've already gone over how I'm postmenopausal now, and I'm allowed as a menopausal man to be surly. And yes, surely you can't be serious. They thank you for the airplane joke, Ericus. You are excessively Canadian. Violently Canadian, some would say. But no, it was a very cute movie. I really liked it. The animation was freaking gorgeous. It was really well done. It's probably one of their best looking movies that they did that wasn't a Pixar movie to date. And if you've got Disney Plus, man, you're really not missing out on anything by not watching it. That sounded weird. You should watch it. Give it a watch. It's got some really good moments. It's a beautiful animation. The world lore is pretty cool. And, it's got its cheese and stuff like that. But I really liked the design, and the characters were fantastic. The voice acting was pretty good. The dragon, well, I think I was going to say that. The dragon was the only one. She's a great comedian, and she's a Chinese lady that's going to be in the new Marvel movie, The Ten Rings. I forget the main character's name, but she was in that. She's a Chinese comedian, and she is very funny. But she's also got a very grating voice and makes a lot of modern references as a dragon that's also set in like a medieval fantasy thing, which is just weird. I mean, I get it. It's a movie, but some things just don't jive correctly. Like when turkeys, for example, they don't jive. That's why you never see anybody selling a jive turkey. But I'm dunch. So anyway, I finished Mass Effect 1. Unfortunately, it's been out for almost 15 years, so if it's a spoiler at this point, that's on you. Sadly, Ashley, the Space Racist, did not make it. Yeah, she sacrificed herself for the greater alien cause, which I found her actually very annoying. Not very annoying, but very poetic. We'll say poetic is the word. Mostly it's actually because the first time I played through, I saved Ashley over Caden because I was playing Dude Shep, and I was totally going to bang that, and I did. This time I'm playing Fem Shep, and so this time Caden and I banged, which Pride Month, I can do that. I can be a dude playing a chick, banging another dude. That's just how that works. It's okay now. I can do that and not have to feel weird about it. Also, I'm a big softie, and I thought it was cool to see something. I think the first time I actually romanced Liara as Dude Shep, the blue alien chick, I'm trying to do things differently than I remember doing the first time, because I've already seen it one way one time. But I actually need to do that next week. I actually found an old time I called into a local radio station in 2000. I think it had to be 2008, 2007, because that's when this came out. And it was a Fox affiliated station, and they were talking about how you can do the sex in Mass Effect, and parents, write this down. Don't let your kids buy it. And then I called in, and I was very timid because I was live on a radio station at the age of 4. I don't know how old was I? 14 years ago. Let's see. I just turned 42, so I'd be like 27, 28. Yeah, not nearly as self-confident as I am now, obviously. So I was very nervous and could have made some better points. But you know what? I think I'm going to pull that up. I found it online, and we might go over that next week and see how things have changed in 14 years since the original Mass Effect came out. Had I been more intelligent, I probably would have done that this episode. But this episode, we also have what comes out this month in video game history. So we'll do that, and next week I'll pull that and we'll go over that for half an hour. I think it's a 10-minute clip, and I bet you I can add an extra 20 minutes on why I was an idiot and how incredibly wrong they were. It's always fun going over news media from 14 years ago, because guess what? It never holds up well, no matter what the story was about. Unless it's, oh, the humanity, the Hindenburg has fallen. That holds up very well because it was a time of crisis and emergency. But bad news reporting ages like a fine milk. Like a fine milk. So anyway, Mass Effect it was fantastic. I really missed how great of a game that was. I did also notice how many of the assets are reused, like the prefab units and stuff like that are just sprinkled throughout the world. Like there's one building that's just used over and over. You go in through the entrance, there's a small hallway, you go in through the other entrance, and there's a big room, and in that room they rearrange crates, and sometimes against the back left wall there's a door, sometimes there isn't, and there's always a staircase on the left-hand side to your immediate left, and it goes up, and sometimes there's a door up there, and sometimes there isn't. Rinse and repeat about 50 times. They just changed the crates and the layout. But at the time of playing, I don't know if I really noticed that. This time I sure as hell did. And then it made it that much more of a jarring contradiction in game design when I started playing Mass Effect 2, and just how superior that game was over the first one. It's not even close. And as good as Mass Effect 1 is, and it's a fantastic playthrough, wow, it's like playing a totally different series almost. They advanced the way it played so much. But yes, Mass Effect 1 it's some of the best world building ever done in a video game series ever, especially considering this is a first one and it was a brand new IP. It didn't have Star Wars, it wasn't a Skyrim, it wasn't any of the stuff that's already established, or even has book series. Like The Witcher at least had The Witcher books to go off of, and then build off of that, and it had a small fan base before it became what it is today through video games. And, the Netflix show, soon to be canceled, I'm sure. But it just did so well. It really is one of the best RPGs ever made when it comes to that, up there with like Final Fantasy 7 and 14. Those are my 6 was another one of the best storytelling Final Fantasies. Witcher 3 was fantastic. Pretty much Dragon Quest kind of stuff. I mean, it's just amazing. It really is. If you haven't played it, oh my gosh, you just got it. You absolutely have to. The Legendary Edition, and it is a little rough. You just have to go into it with the mindset that it's a 14-year-old game that has been polished, but not completely. It's not a remake. It's not been completely redone. But, yep. And then, of course, I'll have my Resident Evil 9 predictions at the end of the show, which I just had to put in there. Moving on in other news, Netflix canceled the show that I hadn't even finished watching yet. So Jupiter's Legacy, which is the superhero thing based off of a comic book. What was his name? Mark Miller? Something Miller. I lost it here. I should write these things down. I always think like, oh, it's in the article. I'm sure I'll be able to. I just read it, an hour ago beforehand. I'm sure I'll be able to. No, it's gone. It's in here somewhere. But yes, thank you, Ericus. Think. Although that was actually Amazon and Invincible. This is Jupiter's Legacy, which Mark Miller. I was right. Or is it Millar? Millar. We'll call him Mark Millar. So he had a comic book, and it was turned into Jupiter's Legacy, which is a good show. I think we have 3 or 4 episodes left to go, and now I don't know why I'd bother, because it's been canceled. So I know it leaves out on a cliffhanger. I don't know what the cliffhanger is, but clearly the show I could tell was going to lead to a cliffhanger, but they've already released all the actors. The guy said, Millar says, "I'm really proud of what the team achieved with Jupiter's Legacy and the amazing work everyone did on the origin season. We've made the tough call of letting our incredible cast out of their show commitment as we continue to thoughtfully develop all realms of Jupiter Legacy saga. We're confident we'll return to it later." Well, yeah, but you're not sure you can get all the actors back. "And just want to say thank you to the guys for your continued support and to the cast and crew who made this look so great," which, by the way, the wigs are terrible, and so is a lot of the aged face makeup. It is not as incredible looking as they think. Because the whole premise of the show, they're superheroes in present day, and it goes back to the crash of the 1920s. And somehow they get superpowers between one and the other. So the actors are the current age they are in the 1920s. So when they come to modern times, they've got wigs on for gray hair or longer hair, beards. They've got the wrinkly eye stuff, and it is very noticeably props and not just old people. That is about the way to do it, but it does not hold up to 4K camera settings these days. So, yeah, Netflix is, I don't know what their deal is. They're notorious lately for starting shows like this. And, I mean, it's a single season. Sometimes these shows can take at least a season or 2 to really get going. And then when you go back to them, you're like, wow, that is, knowing what you know in the future, it's fantastic. The first season of Babylon 5 was a lot like that. It was not the strongest season of Babylon 5, but once season 2 came out, and then 3, 4, not so much 5, it made season 1 all the more, because everything that was set up in season 1 paid off in seasons 2, 3, and 4. And not a lot of shows can do that, because if you're Netflix, you cancel it before the payoff comes, which is ridiculous. Which is why we did a thing, about Netflix canceling shows before they even start filming them, which I would not be surprised has probably happened. They just don't announce it. So apparently, too, what's even stranger with this is they're canceling the second season of this, and that's probably going to be it. I'm going to be honest. They're like, we can bring it back. Yeah. Talk to the people at Firefly about that, which, by the way, Disney Plus rumor is that they're going to try to do something in the Firefly universe. I don't know that it will be the same cast of Firefly with Nathan Fillion and all them, but there's a rumor floating around that they're going to resurrect the Firefly universe and Disney Plus. Fingers crossed, because, it could be good, or it could be, the prequel trilogy of Star Wars. Who knows? But this Miller guy, he has a couple other things coming. He's got a Super Crooks anime series that's going to premiere on Netflix, probably already canceled. Also has developing American Jesus series, and which I'm sure will have absolutely no problem being in the media. That won't get any flack whatsoever. I actually don't know anything about it. It might actually be really good, but just the fact that they call it American Jesus, just the gut feeling. It'll definitely be a trouble. The summary is a multilingual Spanish-English series. American Jesus follows a 12-year-old boy who suddenly discovers he's returned as Jesus Christ. No, that'll be fine. No one will have a problem with that one whatsoever. It could be very interesting. I'm just assuming there's going to be issues. And a film adaptation of another one of his comics, Reborn, starring Sandra Bullock, who I like. I think she is a delightful person. I don't even have a joke about Sandra Bullock. I just think she's fascinating and fun, and I like her. She was really good in the first thing I saw her, which was Demolition Man, which is one of my favorite movies of all time for no reason other than it's just really good, stupid future sci-fi with, of all people, Stallone and her. And then, of course, Speed, and then she did that horrible internet movie. I forget what it's called, but it was dumb. She was a hacker, and she was not a very good one because that's not how hacking works. And then there's another one called The Magic Order, which is going to be another TV show adaptation. So this guy apparently gets around a lot. This just in, all of those shows now canceled after the first season. That's just the way it's going to go. And I still got that Netflix boom boom thing up. Moving on in other news, because I'm just going to drag this out all day if I just let myself ramble on and on and on and on. God of War 2 is delayed to 2022. And weirder than that, to be honest with you, that part doesn't surprise me so much. COVID, we're still in that weird... I mean, anything that started development before or during COVID is likely going to be delayed a year or so. It's just, they did the best they could, and a lot of them were doing, they did fine. Some, like Final Fantasy XIV, managed to make the delay only 6 months. But yeah, it's going to continue. That's until, 5-6 years from now. Although the fan base will definitely have worn out its welcome on accepting that as a reason to delay games. The COVID delays are going to continue probably until 2024, probably. Like I said, anything started during or after COVID, or during or before COVID it's just going to happen. But God of War coming to PS4, God of War 2 coming to PS4 seems weird. Just make it a next-gen game. Yes, I know, I get it. The consoles are really hard to come by. And that, honestly, is what makes me think, I don't know if they had already planned, because they didn't announce that it was coming to PS4. This or Horizon Forbidden West is also coming to the PlayStation 4, and that one's supposed to be out 2021 during this the holiday season this year. But neither of those games were announced for the PS4 until recently, which leads me to believe that the shortage of PS5s is made it so that they're going to just downgrade the graphical quality of a lot of these things, probably to make it run on the PlayStation 4, just dumb it down somewhat. I'm sure it's possible. I imagine there's a lot more to it than that, and I'm sure there's quite a bit of work, which is probably why God of War was pushed back the way it was. But I think, me personally, man, just they were promising these games as like, the next generation in console gaming, also coming to the last console generation that's 7 or 8 years old now. Yeah, nah, dude, just like stick to your guns and go with it. Sorry, I was drinking coffee, which now means I am really dry. Got some awful dry mouth, which is why I'm having to drink constantly to keep that from, choking me. But it's, I don't know. It's my assumption is that it's because of the PS5 shortages. It's a bummer. I really wish, I could play God of War 2. I never finished Horizon Zero Dawn. It's a great game. I just never finished it. I don't know. Maybe I'll try it. I know it's coming to PC soon, if it's not already. Maybe I'll try it there. Or I might just wait till I get a PS5 and then just play that one and then play the second one after that and look at on the real big, pretty graphics and screen. I don't know. Moving on. PUBG cheating empire smashed by the Chinese cops and the founder who escaped. So apparently, I don't know if some of you know this, cheating in video games is actually a really big business. No joking aside, it's like this. They estimate that this was it it was a thing called Cheat Ninja, and they called the guy that wrote it and ran all this Catfish. That's just what they named him. They estimate his empire was worth about $77 million, and all they did was sell a monthly subscription so that kids could have access to this stuff so they could cheat in PUBG. Like, that's legitimately all. They made $77 million on people paying to cheat and be good at a game they were bad at. $77 million. That's a lot of money. And even in Chinese money, I don't know. It's the same amount either way when you convert it in dollars. That's the joke. So anyway, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, PUBG, is huge. Everyone knows that. They started this investigation in early 2021. In January of this year, the key figures were arrested, except for the guy that created the whole thing, Catfish. And the weird thing about this is they actually have quotes of things that this Catfish guy has said. And let's see here, having been tipped off by unusual behavior. Poof. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna. Coffee, give me strength, like that of 10 Russian women. So he said, it says here, having been tipped off by unusual behavior from the arrested figures, Catfish used a good old hammer to destroy all their hard drives, then wipe their cheat servers and began to lie low. So this guy knew they were coming. I guess the people that were probably informing, he got wind of it, and he smashed and destroyed it all, and then he's gone into hiding. This is an article from PC Gamer. It says the scale of Cheat Ninja's operation was revealed when, in April, the police announced charges against the arrested figures and the alleged it made $77 million from the cheats, a figure Catfish thinks is roughly accurate thanks to Bitcoin inflation, though the early estimate was $46 million. So because a lot of people played in Bitcoin, Bitcoin's gone up. So, you spend $15 a month in Bitcoin for a while, and then the price of Bitcoin goes up to that $15 is now really actually $100. So it's not the best way to pay things like that. So this is coming from subscribers who paid between $10 and $15, and Catfish estimated that at its peak, the cheat was attracting 1,000 new subscribers a day. People willing to cheat on this game, and bringing in an astonishing $350,000 a month. This is according to Catfish, quote, "This is totally not the norm for the cheat market, though. I think we did it purely because we were the best cheat for the most popular game." There you go. And the weird thing is, and this is apparently from a deleted quote, he really doesn't like companies. Catfish seems a bit of an odd fish, at one point saying, "I want to ruin these companies' games and damage their profits," before apparently thinking better of it and saying he's quitting the pay-to-cheat scene. So, yeah, they took this whole thing down. The guy's gone underground. Supposedly he's out of it. But they also note in this article that the fascinating thing is there's the side industry of this is when Cheat Ninja disappeared, and even before that point, a whole layer of scammers emerged trying to pretend that their software was Cheat Ninja, and apparently there's no brand politics among cheaters, according to this, which is very true. Scammers don't have a lot of morals, which is why they'll rip off old ladies and things like that. There, my coffee's gone, so I can stop drinking it in the middle of a conversational tone. But, yeah, it's amazing that he was so popular that when he left this void, it really is like the comic books and cop movies and TV shows. Like, well, if we take him down, all the other petty criminals will just fill in the void, and there'll be a turf war to see who comes out on top. And we can't have that kind of carnage in our streets. And then, he got the cop mustache, and he's like, "Kowalski, I need to see you in my office. You destroyed the entire city block trying to get Catfish." "Damn it, sir, I knew I had the information. It was good." "I don't care, Kowalski. Pack up your stuff. You're off the force. Turn in your gun and your badge." "I'll get him. Myself. You think I'm more dangerous with this badge or without it, sir? And then the captain lets him back by the end of the episode. That's how that always works out. I watch a lot of cop shows. Apparently. But isn't that always how it goes? I mean, tell me I'm wrong. If you tell me I'm wrong, I'm going to tell you you're full of shit. So, I found this interesting because they're not technically announced, but they are unannounced, but they're still kind of known. And it was from Massively OP, who, you know, they do pretty good. No, I don't like all their stuff, and I've got my Who Killed Mr. Burns? Maggie Simpson, which made absolutely no sense whatsoever. And it wasn't actually who killed him, it was who shot him, because he did survive, clearly. But I do remember that cliffhanger, and we waited all summer to find out who shot Mr. Burns. Spoiler alert, it was a baby. It was a baby. And he wasn't pointing to the upside down WS for Maggie Simpson. That was just how his fingers landed. He was actually trying to swallow his gold fillings because he doesn't trust those mortuary people. I know a lot about The Simpsons, especially during that time period. I really liked them. So anyway, Massively OP did this article on 8 MMOs that are not confirmed but are likely coming. And I like MMOs. You like MMOs. And if you don't like MMOs, I mean, that's cool for you. It's not really everybody's bag. I mean, I could say you're dumb, but I mean, I don't like World of Warcraft. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not my jam. So it's just how it goes. So apparently, too, some of these I was aware of, and others not so much. This one I have heard the rumors of is that Daybreak Games, who I'm going to try to be nice to now. I am not a fan of Daybreak Games, but that was when they were under Columbus Nova, the Russian-owned conglomerate company. They've since been sold off to, I think, a Swedish company, E7. EG7. That's close. But apparently, Daybreak has confirmed through a guy named Jack Emmert's team, they're working on a big MMO project in addition to handling what DC Universe Online. It says here that we don't know what it's based on, or we do know that it's based on a major licensed IP and is being developed for PCs and consoles. And considering Emmert and his team have deep experience in developing superhero games, as Daybreak is likely working on the Marvel title, which has also been rumored that there's a Marvel MMO in the works. So, could it be? Could it not be? I don't know. All I know is EverQuest Next was awful disappointment and took $300 between me and Jazz alone. And that's not counting the thousands of others. So, another one is Riot Games' League of Legends MMORPG, which is really a mouthful when you think. Just call it an MMO. The RPG part is just kind of superfluous. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I thought it was 100 for you and 100 for Jazz. Yeah, that was the $200 from you, right? Because it was you and Jay. God, I hope you didn't do it twice just for yourself and then another 100 for him, because that'd just be even worse. It's just so bad. Okay, good. It was just okay. So it was 100 for her husband and 100 for her, which is unfortunately $200 more than they deserved. They honestly should have been paying us, given what they did. So anyway, I don't know much about League of Legends. I know what it is. I don't play it. I don't do those top-down type of games and things like that. It's just not my jam. The Diablos and things like that. It's just something about the gameplay style is never grabbed me. You throw me in the world of Zelda, like Link to the Past, I can do that over-the-top thing. Almost anything else that does that in that vein, it just does not capture my attention for very long. So it says here, so they got League of Legends, according to the developer, World of Warcraft, former World of Warcraft developer, Greg Street, who's on this project. It will almost certainly have RPG systems like stats, gear, dungeons. We're not ready to talk about it yet, how much it is or is not like other games out there. And that was actually just last month that he said that. So it's pretty good confirmation that it's coming. It's just not, there's announced games, there's games that are known and, but unannounced. That's just how the industry works. Like these days they'll do an announcement that they're going to announce that there's doing an announcement. Like there's 3 announcements before they actually get to the announcement. It's ridiculous. And then we got Raw. Guy's got a terrible name. I love him. He's responsible for Star Wars Galaxies, Ultimate Online, and apparently Crowfall too, which I forgot about that as well. Which isn't even. I don't think that's Crowfall. Has Crowfall come out yet? Crowfall release. Let's see. Oh, yeah, it's got a release date, but it's not out yet. So, there's that. Right? Oh, no, apparently it did come out. Well, that came out with a fart and a whimper. But anyway, so Raph Koster, who best known for Star Wars Galaxies, at least for me, and his team at Playable Worlds, says they have they started this project back in October 2019, so that's been almost 2 years now, and they haven't really given out the name or what it is, but he's put out like manifestos, which I know sounds weird, but but it's like he does these like it's articles on MMOs. Like let's see here, they got one here. Raph Koster expounds on MMO fun, retention, and cynicism in the genre. So he's a very smart guy. He knows the what MMOs have turned into and are currently viewed as by a lot of people, even those of us that enjoy them. He also has Playable Worlds, Raph Koster on the player-driven economies at the heart of virtual worlds. So, like, those, they're manifestos, but they're basically articles. And those kind of, if you read through them, kind of point to what they're hoping for to do in theirs, because he knows what he wants. It's a matter of will he be able to do it, have the time, the funds, and the team. So supposedly this one from him is rumored that it's a MMO and a huge sandbox, and that's pretty much all there is. They hope it's more than a combat simulator. Blizzard's secret multiplayer game, and I'll just read it from here because there's not much on this one. It says, okay, so saying that Blizzard is working on an unannounced game is like saying that YouTube comment sections are pointless. True. But it still needs to be said. There's at least one project in the works that is a multiplayer online title, which seems to be ramping up development and team size. We've been burned before waiting on Blizzard reveals, but it doesn't stop us from hoping something is great. So it's not confirmed. If I remember right, there's been Blizzard started working on, I think it might have even been World of Warcraft 2, and then just shuttered the whole thing. Or it was another project altogether that was another MMO. They just dead ass dropped it, just gave up on it. So who knows? It'd be nice to get an actual MMO from a company like Blizzard that's not, over 10 years old or 15. We're almost at 20. Jeez. 16 years old. Oh my God. That's ridiculous. Which means EverQuest 2 is that old too. Gosh, we're old. Then there's CCP, which are the guys, those are the ones that do EVE Online, which is a job into itself. They're doing an online shooter. It's not confirmed, but there's job postings, and their studios developing at least one MMO shooter, likely attached to the EVE Online universe. And then there is ZeniMax, which we all know for Elder Scrolls Online. We know that Bethesda owned studios has a bunch of secret projects in the works, but we've been given no solid indication what it may be. However, with the studio already an experienced MMO developer, one hopes that it might be looking to repeat the performance, which is true. I would actually kind of, as off the wagon as I currently am on Elder Scrolls gameplay-wise, I would like to see ZeniMax do something new, something more up to date. I think, if I remember right, that Oh, what was that? I actually have it here. Uh, 20. It's been since, I think it's been since 2014 when Elder Scrolls Online came out. So that's been 7 years or so, give or take, at least on PC. And then it was a year after that it came out on consoles. So 7 years is a long time. Remember, it was only 4 between EverQuest 1 and EverQuest 2. And then it's been since then, since anything else EverQuest has come out. Which is a ridiculously long time. And not to mention, there's actually an EverQuest Adventures, which was a console exclusive that set 500 years before EverQuest 1, where EverQuest 2 was set 500 years after EverQuest 1. A lot of people forget about EverQuest Adventures, and rightfully so. It was not great. Then there's Jackson's RuneScape follow-up. There's no doubt that Jackson has been milking the very large cow of RuneScape for the better part of 2 decades now, but the studio has had a hard time branching off from this IP. So there's been rumors persisting that a RuneScape follow-up is still in the works and being worked on behind closed doors. I don't know. It'd be neat. I'm not a huge fan of RuneScape, but honestly, at this point, as I'm going to get to after this one here, I'm really up for almost any new MMO at this point. I mean, it's kind of getting bleak. I mean, I'm playing through Final Fantasy XIV again, and that's as good as it's getting right now. Yeah, I know there's a new expansion for Elder Scrolls, and I'll be honest, it's not interesting to me in any way, shape, or form, which kind of sucks. Because I want to like it, but I just do not care about the Oblivion stuff or the Daedra, really. They're not that interesting to me on a personal level. I don't know. They're not scary. I've killed them way too many times for them to be like, oh my gosh, they're practically demons. They're Daedra. That's like really close to the word demon, and demons are bad. I just watched the new Conjuring movie. The demon was really bad in that. The Conjuring was scarier than the Daedra at this point. And The Conjuring, which, by the way, it was a decent movie if you got HBO Max and you like the Conjuring universe. It's much of the same. Few jump scares. The story is a little bit better. There's no Annabelle in it, which I hate dolls, so Annabelle's always creepy. But it was fine. It was perfectly fine. Still scarier than Daedra. But I'm just desperate for MMOs at this point. Especially from the golden age of MMOs that when I started doing this, where you could like get a chance to play 2 or 3 new MMOs every single year, and a lot of them were actually pretty good, to the point where you just had to skip over them, not because it was bad, but because you had the choice of picking something that you thought was better, as opposed to now where you're just like, well, I guess I'll play Elder Scrolls. At least the roleplay's still pretty okay there, and it keeps me going. Or, Jazz. She's there for the roleplay, but she's off in Conan Exiles, making her own little world to do that. I mean, the world of Conan is great, but, Age of Conan was, yikes, not great. It was okay at first, and then it got even less okay later. They went bad. It was very bad. So, lastly on this list of 8 is Jigsaung's next MMO. Jigsong was known for Arc Age 2, or is known as possibly working on Arc Age 2, which is one where I didn't get into Arc Age. I tried it out. It was not good to me. It's very clanky and very clunky. Yes, and I agree with Jazz. Jazz says in the chat, Age of Conan was a good game, good lore, but trash bugs. Well, and it started out good, and it was very buggy. That was always, remained consistent. But they actually made the game worse as it went on with their updates and dumbing everything down, and then the server mergers just absolutely decimated the game and made it unplayable if you're not into that killing everybody and ganking people constantly. Yeah, and yes, and Fallout 76 is a garbage game, but Sib is right there with you. When I played it too, it was fun, and then it stopped being fun for me, which is sadly a lot of them like that. But another one so there's the 8 unannounced ones. There is one, however, that recently was just announced, and I'm kind of I don't want to say I'm hopeful. Because as Jazz in the chat knows, if you hope for a game to be good, it'll get delayed for almost a year after you pre-order it. New Worlds. Excuse me. I had Amazon Games stuck in my throat there. So when X-Riot, let's see, who was it? X-Riot Games, Epic, Blizzard, Zynga, and Sony devs all got together and are building a game called Palia. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce it because they never say it. They just put it on there. P-A-L-I-A. Palia. Palia! Sorry, I don't know. But anyway, I kind of dig the aesthetic. I saw some people say it kind of looks like Fortnite. I guess in retrospect, I can see that. To me, like world-wise, it had much more of a Breath of the Wild feel and more of an EverQuest Next kind of character design without like quite being so lumpy. Or a the Disney animation studio, not Pixar, but like the way Tangled, Frozen, that Raya and the Last Dragon that I just watched. It looks like has a very similar style to that to me, and I dig that. I'm perfectly okay with that. But apparently, this game they're calling it a community sim MMO. Supposedly, there's not really combat in it. Like you're not gearing up to fight orcs and things like that. It is a social game where you are there to build a neighborhood, neighborhood is their version of guilds. You'll have a plot of land. You build resources on there. You build a house. You decorate that house. It'll have over 1,000 items of housing decoration and yard decoration at launch, which is pretty good. I got to say that's fairly nice. And it pulls from a lot. It's got gliders. I just liked the design. I don't know if the game will actually hold me because it sounds like it's very kind of crafting and gathering oriented, which doesn't typically hold me for very long. But again, like a dying man in the desert, seeing a single cactus on the horizon, I am crawling my way towards said cactus, and I will bite through the spines to see if there is any juicy water to quench my thirst inside this MMO cactus at this point. I just want something new. For the love of God. That's polished, too, by the way. Not, janky and awful and horrible. It's just, I'm just tired of these garbage MMOs that just keep getting pushed out. So, Palia looks like it might be one of those. I'm hoping. I did like the fact that the trailer, which is another thing I've noticed lately in a lot of these MMOs, the trailer was smooth. They used in-game graphics, pre-alpha graphics, but it was smooth. Like the animation, the characters running down the road and two guys flying overhead on their little, like, Breath of the Wild gliders. It ran at solid frame rates. It's why things like Biomutant, which isn't even an online game, the trailers that they were showing were janky and had frame rate stutter in the trailer. And that's what they were showing off. And I'm like, does nobody else see this? So the fact that the trailer came out and it doesn't jitter and jank and stutter, sadly, is as high as the bar is for me to have to be interested in a game at this point. And I like the aesthetic. I like housing. I like role play. So if there's like role play abilities and stuff, like if it's friendly to role players, I'll make my own damn story. I don't have to have combat in order to do that. I can play an interesting character on a social aspect of a game. I'm perfectly fine. I don't have to be a vampire or an assassin or any of that stuff. Just give me a damn world. It's got neat robots, very Studio Ghibli of them. I think it was it Nausicaa, I think, has robots like that kind of. If I'm getting the right Studio Ghibli movie, I can't really remember off the top of my head. But so apparently what happened was humans are legendary, and they disappeared 1,000 years ago, kind of like the dwarves in Elder Scrolls. And then all of a sudden, we just deadass start showing up all over the place again. And, as we do, we're going to take what we want, because that is our right as humans. We will destroy you. Or, build a nice little community around that and, get along with everybody, because that's what the trailer showed it looking like. So, apparently there actually is going to be, there's quests and there's stories and stuff, and that's going to be what the storyline is about, is why did humans disappear? Why are they back? Blah, 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 blah. Cool. All right. If the game has an actual story and it has lore and stuff like that, that's just all the more to build an RP community out of. The fact that it has housing, it's a good first step. The fact that you can go out in groups and gather resources and things like that together and probably get bonuses, I'm sure. That's also very good. The fact that they've said flat out that if you want to play this game, it's a social game, but they understand that a lot of MMO players are not social people. We're not all, not all extroverts. I can be, but when I play my MMOs, as many will know, I tend to like to play alone outside of me role-playing with other people. I do most of my MMO playing solo. I just don't like messing with having to fuck around with other people's schedules and and hold on, wait a minute, I gotta empty my bags. I forgot to do it after the last time, and I'm like, oh my god, I've only got an hour, and all right, now we've got half an hour. Great. So this was a giant friggin' waste of time while I watched you empty your bags out and watch cat videos on the second monitor waiting on you, because I did all this stuff beforehand like a considerate human being. What? It's never happened before. That was a made-up scenario. Fuck you. And so you can solo stuff and do things and do all this on your own if you wish, or you can do it with groups or friends and things like that, which is fantastic. Let's see here. I think the guy actually said, Aiden Karabakh. I suck with names. I don't know why I even bother. Aiden. There are a lot of safety features and a lot of options that the player has that can make the experience overall be a bit more solo. You can occasionally have interactions with other players where they help you out in a collaborative or way organically without even directly chatting or voice chatting. It's very much in the kind of vein of playing with other players, but not directly or in fully collaborating, which is fantastic. Also, they have things like dynamic weather systems, which is something MMOs don't do well. Body customization, supposed to have a lot of haircuts and styles that you can switch them out, so you can just do whatever. Cooking, and of course, the biggest thing in all MMOs, the end game, fashion. So, I'm excited for it. I actually did apply to the alpha for it. Of course, if I got accepted, I wouldn't be able to say anything about that. But I would be eventually, and that would be awesome. And I would definitely be making notes to inform people, good or bad, one way or the other, and in the future. And of course, I've been around MMOs long enough. I know the difference between an alpha, a beta, and launch. And I can also tell at this point when things are going to go horribly awry. Looking at you, New World. Looking at you. So, second to last, games released in the... What do you want? What? You ruined my intro, dog. It's 2 hours until you have to be fed. And there's nobody showing up. There's nobody home. Sib is not here, at least as far as I know. Just hold on. I'm just going to stop the show real quick and talk to my dog, who, for no reason, just ran up to me like her tail was on fire and put her wet-ass nose against my leg. And, yeah, Sib is on her way home, but she's still out in Sepulpa. You weird little dog. So, nobody's here. Go lay down. And I love you. And it doesn't do me any good to talk to you on the show. The whole point of having a dog on the show is so that people can see you, and I can get the "aww" but you're too big to pick up. She's a big girl. She's not fat. She's just a bigger dog. She's not like Chunky Spanky over there, who is fat but still small. So anyway, this month in video game history release, let's go back a good 5 years. June 29th, 2016 was Inside, which was a great game. It took, I think, two and a half hours for me to beat it. Guys, no. They started playing, and it's frustrating because the little one just barks. And Sib and my daughter actually just sat there and watched playing. We kind of all played. I was playing, but we all did it together, and it was fantastic. Inside was a great game. 6 years ago, in June 9th, 2015, Elder Scrolls Online was released for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, which is why I sounded so smart earlier that I knew exactly what year Elder Scrolls came out and then what year it came out for the consoles. It's not because I'm smart. It's because I literally looked it up earlier today and just happened to see that, ESO was for June. It released a year before in 2014, I think in April on PC. I know. I could have made it sound like I'm just crazy smart and intelligent, but you guys, if you're listening to this show and this isn't your first episode, you already know better. I'm not fooling anyone. And a game that was really big, I'm assuming just because it had a cheerleader with a chainsaw in it. June 12th, 2012, Chainsaw Lollipop. Yes. Also, she cussed a lot. And there were panty shots, and I assume that was the entire premise of the game. I actually never got around to playing it. It looked mildly interesting, and it was really crazy. I think she had her boyfriend's head on her belt, and he was like a zombie, and he was talking to you the whole time. That Senna was sacrificing over to Chainsaw Lollipop, which are two vastly different genres and styles of mechanics. But so yeah, Chainsaw Lollipop is almost 9 years out. 10 years ago this year, June 14th, 2011, after over 10 years in development and just releasing a solid 1.5 to 2 out of 10 game, Duke Nukem Forever was released 10 years ago this month, and it was awful. I made the mistake, even within the last few years, of saying, it really can't be all that bad. Yeah. It was bad. It was awful. And it wasn't just the gameplay that was bad. It was the fact that the game, Duke Nukem, for his time in the late 90s, was solid video game, like badass cheese. But the fact that this was started in like 2000 or so and took until 2011, the dialogue and the cheese wore off. It just wasn't funny anymore. It was just a bad game. And Erica says, can get an achievement for trying to peek under her skirt. Don't ask him how he knows. And I assume that's for Chainsaw Lollipop, not Duke Nukem Forever. I don't judge. Okay, I'm judging a lot. I'm actually judging a little. Mostly, a lot less if he was trying to look at Duke Nukem's underwear than if he was at Chainsaw Lollipop's. Yeah. Anyway, so June 22nd, all the way back in 1996. I was still 2 years from graduating in 1996, which would put me at about 17 years old. I was 17 when this came out, and it was huge. Quake came out in 1996 of June. This Quake, I remember. That was just such a huge game at the time. It still is. I mean, obviously, the Quake engine is still around. It's upgraded. Obviously, I forget what number they're on, but Quake was just a massive success. It's so good, and the multiplayer was when online competitive multiplayer was really starting to take off, PCs and stuff like that. And obviously, consoles a little out of the range still, but man, Quake, that takes me back. One I never really got around to, but I've always known about, 1995, Earthbound. I believe that was on the Super Nintendo. Yeah, I know he's there. They're in a lot of Smash Brothers games. That's about all I know. One I did play though, and it's just made me feel really, really old, and also kind of disappointed given that there's only I think there's only 4 of these out too. Let's see. Oh. No, okay, there's 5 of them total, and I think their most recent one just came out December of 2019. So yeah, so Mech Warrior 5 came out in December of 2019. So Mech Warrior 2 came out in June 30th, 1995. For such a successful series, how from 1995 to 2019 were there only 3 other games released? They're at that point, they're practically doing one a decade. It's just ridiculous the way these successful series, and Mech Warrior still has a huge following. I think I would want to play. I mean, I don't want to play Mech Warrior 5 mostly because it's just not supposed to be that great. It's on Xbox One, Series X, and Microsoft. You know, I wonder if that came to and if that has come to Game Pass, I actually might go download that and play some Mech Warrior, to be honest with you. I'd totally play Mech Warrior 5 if I don't have to pay for it. Moving back even farther in the Wayback Machine to 30 years ago, 1991 of June. So long ago that the little thing didn't even bother telling me the date. Just like June 1991, Battletoads was released this month 30 years ago on the Nintendo. 30 years ago. Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm old, officially. And funny enough, we just got a sequel to Battletoads last year. 29 years later. Was that this year? Oh my god. I'm going to have to look that up. Everything kind of... Nope, Battletoads 2022. Okay, so it was last year. I thought it was during the pandemic stuff. August. Yeah, almost a full year ago. Wow. I did not get very far in that game. I've liked Battletoads. I'm not very good at it. There's a big difference. So yeah, Battletoads was 30 years ago. Wow. So there you go. We're all old. That's fantastic. And we're not getting any younger at all. So this last little bit is spoilerish territory on what I predict based off of what happened at the end of Resident Evil 8 and what will come from Resident Evil 9. So if you do not want to be ruined on the story of Resident Evil 8, The Village, turn off now and have a good day. And
Julie, do the thing.
That's right. Get out of here and go away.
I am the Senate.
I'm just going to play these for a couple minutes to give you time to hit the button and, like, turn it off.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Yeah. All right. So, and one more.
That's a lot of nuts!
Yeah, it is a lot of nuts. Okay, so if you're still here, you don't care about spoilers. All right, so at the end of Resident Evil 8, The Village, we find out that Ethan Winters, who's the guy you've been playing for the last 2 games, Resident Evil 7 and 8, died at the Baker house in Resident Evil 7, and that black mold basically was his body, which is why he was able to have, like, limbs chopped off. It happened in 7. Demetres cut his arm off while he, in one scene, and he grabs his hand and, like, sticks it back on and pours the healing liquid, and it just... And to the point where even there's, like, a scar in the fabric of his coat, and that's because everything on him is... He's made of this, like, basically, like, living imprint of himself in this black mold, this bioweapon. So it turns out that's kind of the big reveal. And it even says at the end of the credits, like, Ethan Winters' story is over. But the whole way through this, he was trying to get his little girl, Rose, who also had been chopped up in pieces, and, like, the 4 lords had a chunk of her. One had the torso, one had limbs, one had the head. And you recombined your daughter at the end, and she miraculously is alive. It was kind of in the fashion of it had to be a nod to Akira because the jars she was in were even like yellow tinged and kind of hard to see through. Like you couldn't see like a little baby's head in it. You couldn't see through it, but it was yellow or yellowish orange liquid like they used in Akira. When I'm gonna say that was an Akira reference. So she survives. You go through all of this first to save Mia. And then, in this last one, the village to save Rose and get her back. And you manage to sacrifice yourself in a lot of ways. And you bring your daughter back, and Redfield promises to raise her. And at the very end, you see a teenage Rose, and she's clearly working for the bioweapons division under Chris Redfield, who has trained her. And the whole way through the village, they're always talking, all the lords and stuff are talking about how powerful Rose is or will be. And that's why Mother Miranda wanted her, is because Rose was kind of the thing that she was worried could actually destroy her. And she kind of wanted to take that body and resurrect her own daughter into Rose's body and bring her back that way. So they mention all the time how powerful she's going to be. And I have a feeling that this refers to actual abilities and powers. There's even, at the end, when Rose is visiting her dad's grave, one of the security guards is there, and he kind of oversteps. He calls her by Mother Miranda's daughter's name, which I forget off the top of my head. Lily, I think it was. Could be wrong. And she gets real angry and is like, I can, don't call me that. My name's Rose, and I can kill you in ways Chris doesn't even know about. And Evelyn. Thank you, Ericus. Evelyn. I don't know why I got Lily. But whatever. It's been a little while. And I'm terrible with names. There's a reason all my roleplay characters are bad with names. Because I am. So, she mentions that she could kill him in ways Chris doesn't even mention. And then, I got a shot, sir. And he's like, no, don't take it. So clearly they're watching her. They're definitely afraid of Rose in some way. So here's my prediction on Resident Evil 9. You're going to be playing as Rose. Because also you've played the last 2 games as a dude. And it's time for them to put in a female protagonist for one, because they did that. They did that in the first one. You were able to play as was it the first one? I know Resident Evil 2. You were able to play as both Leon or Claire, and then in the third one you played as Jill. So they're not opposed to having you play as women. And funny enough, very successful series, and I thought all video gamer dudes were supposed to hate female characters and screech and hiss and like vampires in the sun if they had to look at a strong female character, which seems to be completely not true on account of I've never really seen that actually happen. There's a few of them, but no one that doesn't play a really good game because you're playing Lara Croft. It's just stupid. But given that you've played a dude in the last few of them, it seems like a female protagonist would be up on the chopping block to be done. And they've set it up perfectly because you've already got Rose for that. Now, the other prediction is this is not going to it's still going to play in the first-person style because this is how that series is kind of gone in this one. I don't think the first-person thing will last forever. I do think eventually they'll go back to the third-person Resident Evil remake and Resident Evil 4 style over the shoulder. But this one, given that Ethan's story is down and you're going to be playing as Rose, you're going to be playing more like BioShock, where whatever is going to happen, you're going to be going as Rose as an agent trained by Chris, going in to stop one of these outbreaks or something like that. And she's going to have access to both a weapon in one hand and superpowers in the other. Now, I don't know what those are going to be because they never did show what Rose can do. But we did see Heisenberg in the Village. He was basically Magneto. He was able to pull metal and things like that in a very Magneto-like way. There was the hallucinogenic powers that were done in the dollhouse area, for lack of a better term. There's the vampires from Lady Dimitrescu, who the 3 daughters were actually made from bugs. Their bodies were if you read into the lore that we found around there, the girls, they're not our actual daughters, were all created in these flies basically ate the bodies, and they coalesced, and that's what these girls were made out of, a lot like Ethan was with the mold. So, and then there was breathing underwater for the fish guy and turning into a giant trout, which is not really so much a power, but I don't know if they could do something with water. So there were those 4 abilities already in the game, and she could have a combination of those, honestly. This is my guess. I have nothing to base this on other than having played the game and knowing Resident Evil fairly well. I think they'll probably have her go after Spencer, who is one of the founders of Umbrella Corporation and is actually dead at this point. I forgot that he had died, I forget, in 5 or 6, and told Wesker about it. But in the village, you actually, him and Mother Miranda was actually, I forget which way it went. He taught her or she taught him. I want to say she taught him. Because she was like 1,000 years old, and Umbrella's not that old. So I think that he may have found a way to actually come back as well, probably with the black mold or one of those other things, and that you'll be going after him. Otherwise, it was really weird that they randomly at the end put in a couple pieces of paper mentioning dialogue between him and Mother Miranda. But this is all conjecture. Could be completely wrong, and we probably won't know for another 3 or 4 years, to be honest. So I'll have plenty of time to forget I predicted this until we see that first trailer 4 years from now, with her having a pistol in one hand and shooting, I don't know, razor blades with her magnetic powers at zombies with the other. That's what I'm going with. That's what's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, we'll pretend this episode never happened. I mean, 4 years from now, it's probably more than likely I won't even be doing this anymore. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen 4 years from now. But that's my guess for Resident Evil. Yeah. So anyway, there we go. That's my prediction. I know I make a lot of them. I should probably, like a responsible person, like make a list of future predictions for games and movies and things like that. But I'm sure I'll remember them. Because, why wouldn't I? It's no problem at all. I can do that. You guys will honestly probably more likely, a few of you that are listening right now, and you listening from the future will remind me anyway. So, with that, thanks for listening. Appreciate you tuning in. Remember, if you want to watch live, just like Jazz and Ericus did, twitch.tv/crashed while loading, or you can watch over on YouTube. You just have to search it on YouTube. If you're on iTunes or you have iTunes, give the show a review. I need to see if anyone's actually done that recently. I highly doubt it. But do that. Give it a look-see. Give it a review. 5 stars is the appropriate number of stars for this idiotic, dumbass show. And more importantly, the amazing, talented, sexy host that runs it. And even more so, the beautiful people that listen. So with that, I'm Ashen Phoenix. I'm hooked on Pahonix. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week. Ashen Pahonix. This is the kind of stuff they tune in for, Cloud. This is what they're tuning in for, is this stuff right here. I don't know why either. Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his latest in video game rock covers and original music. Guys gotta go potty.